First of all, thank you. Welcome to our webinar. My name is Brandon Hawkins. I am a director here at CFO Hub. I've got my very good friend Miriam Torres Balti on the phone with us from the CDC Small Business Finance Group. We're going to go through the programs that are available, how to apply. We've collected a bunch of questions over the last few weeks nationwide from borrowers large and small. We've aggregated those questions. We're going to put those up for you in a PowerPoint presentation. We will take your questions on the side in the chat box as well, so that in the event your questions don't get answered through our PowerPoint, we'll answer those directly. And then finally, if we are unable to get to them from a time constraints perspective, I will make certain that you have my direct contact information as well as Miriam's, and you can reach out to us directly. No question too large or too small. If we don't know the answer, we'll get it for you, and generally we'll get back to you within 24 hours. Again, my name is Brandon Hawkins. I'm a director here with CFO Hub. We are a fractional outsourced accounting firm. We provide back office support as well as forward-thinking strategic planning from a financial accounting perspective. I have several decades of small business and commercial business banking experience. And so based on the amount of calls and emails and questions that we were getting from our client base and friends, we thought that this webinar would be timely. We were able and lucky enough to pull in Miriam to help us with that. And so we're going to go right through our PowerPoint right now, get some of your questions answered, discuss some of the products, and away we go. So let's talk quickly. Actually, before I get into the PPP, which is a great program, I want you guys to, after we get off of this call, immediately go and apply for the grant. It's online. It's essentially a non-recourse. It's called a grant. However, it is forgivable. It's basically $10,000. It's a very easy application process, all of which the links to the application are in the spreadsheet that we're going to provide for you. I did it for a client a couple days ago, and it took me maybe 6 or 7 minutes to complete. You will get a confirmation number and then an email. And what we're hearing, and we're going to find out for this particular client over the next few days, is money will be deposited in your account within 3 business days. So that's something that you should take advantage of right away. The secondary piece is the PPP. Now, the PPP program, there's about $349 billion allocated for that, provided that you follow some rules, and they're not very specific. And again, they'll be available for you at the conclusion of this WebEx. It's a forgivable loan. So this is yet again another opportunity to help you get through payroll shortages over the last 8 weeks because of the virus and the effects that it's had on businesses. What you're going to want to make sure you do is when you get the grant and or the PPP, just document your receipts carefully. Hang on to those, because after the initial 8 weeks are over, you're going to go back to your bank. Your bank is going to provide the PPP for you, and you're going to ask for the loan to be forgiven. At that point, they'll have a few forms for you to fill out, and then you're going to have to justify what you spent the funds on. They'll do a calculation, tell you what's eligible to be forgiven, and any portion that is not forgivable will be amortized out over 10 years at 3.75% interest with no prepayment penalty. So again, a great product. Might not move here. Again, on the spreadsheet, and I can speak to San Diego specifically where I am, there was $4 million, actually $6 million allocated for projects. Let's say that came out on a Monday. On Tuesday, there were 6,900 applicants, so there was excessive applicants, and as a result, that fund is dry. It doesn't mean that they won't refill, just like the government may refill for a second round of PPP or the EIDL program. So it's important that you apply now, apply as soon as possible, and make sure that your information is accurate, it's complete, and oddly enough, most of the applications that we're finding that are getting kicked back are because they weren't signed. So make sure you're checking all the boxes and that you're signing appropriately. I'm going to jump into the EIDL now, and I'm going to let Miriam take over. She's going to give you some of the parameters of it, some tips and tricks in terms of the application process, and we'll take some questions and answers with that. Miriam?
Hi, thank you. So, as you mentioned, my name is Miriam Baltiz, and I've been in the industry for 15 plus years, helping small business owners in all types and areas of financing. So, hopefully, we both can be a good resource for you to help get your questions answered and guide you in the right direction to, hopefully get your money as quick as possible. And I just want to kind of reiterate that the biggest advice that I could give is fill out a complete application, any documentation that's needed, be precise. There is such an overwhelming amount of people applying, and take into account that all of this is coming from, the PPP program will be coming from your, lender and bank, but the SBA disaster loan is coming directly from the SBA, Business Administration, which is part of the government. So the only time that they lend or give you these grants is when there's a disaster. So, for example, 9/11 or what's happening now. So that being said, they are not set up to do loans. So if you can help them by turning in a complete application, signing where you need to be, any documents that are needed or proof that's needed, turn that in. That is going to put you in line, at the beginning of the line of whenever you applied versus really they're going to put you back to the line because, your application is not complete and they're going to just move forward the people whose application is complete. So that's definitely my, biggest advice that I give, being in the industry for a very long time. So that being said, so the SBA disaster loan is through the government directly. And I want to take a moment to kind of explain this because I think that I want to start with the basics. That being said, about the SBA disaster loans coming directly from SBA, the PPP program is going to be coming from your lenders who are SBA lenders. So, for example, I work for CDC Small Business Finance, and we are a lender. We do SBA loans. So as Wells Fargo, Bank of America, or your community banks, they also have an SBA, what's called guarantee. So that's different. So what that means is, for example, if you apply for 100,000 with your lender, and it's an SBA loan, that means the SBA is guaranteeing a portion of that loan if you're not able to repay us as the lender. And so that I want you guys to understand that and kind of grasp that the money is going to be coming, yes, from the government, but in two different ways. So either as a guarantee for a loan from a lender directly like myself, or the SBA disaster loan is actually from the government itself. And those interest rates are going to be 3.75% for any for-profit businesses, 2.75% for any nonprofit businesses. And long-term payment plans are available up to 30 years, which is really, really great. And we're going to be providing the link that you can apply on directly. And I would definitely say apply as quick as possible, right?
Right.
Yeah. And then the other thing that the SBA will cover all loan payments for 6 months. That's actually through the debt relief program, through the PPP, which is where a lot of your lenders, so like let's say that you have a commercial real estate for your business with Chase, or you have a business line of credit or a term loan. Some banks, for example, I know that Chase and Wells Fargo are going to participate. We're going to participate as a lender, are actually going to work with their clients directly. So if you already have a loan with them through the PPP, what you can do is you can go to your lender directly and they will forgive a certain portion of that, of like, let's say like 6 months or fees of your loan.
And Miriam, that also includes the SBA 7A loans, right? So if you have an existing 7A with your bank, you could call your bank or your lender and say, I'd like to participate in this program and see if I can get either waiver or deferment of the monthly payments for 6 months?
Correct. And that would actually it would be free money, so not necessarily like a deferment. So it would be through the PPP program. They can do that as well with their lender. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does to me.
Okay, awesome.
So let's talk about how folks can apply.
Okay, so to apply, there's actually one link that you could probably do both on, but um, every lender is going to be releasing the PPP program soon, probably at the end of this week or early next week. We're just waiting for SBA to kind of get everything in order as far as in the PPP to release that portion. However, the SBA disaster loan has been available, that link, for a while. So we'll provide the link on how to apply for that.
Okay. And then for the grant, like I said, I actually went through that with a client earlier, and it was a one pager, readily easy to submit, no problems whatsoever there. For the EIDL loan, though, it's a little bit more robust in terms of documentation you need, right?
Definitely. Yeah, definitely. So they're going to be asking for, they're going to be checking your credit report. What I've seen in my experience in dealing with a lot of business owners is that a lot of people are getting automatically declined because of credit. So that's something to look out for. However, that being said, there is a $10,000 grant as of yesterday being given to small business owners who are automatically declined. So if you already applied on the SBA disaster loan and you are, in the process of getting approved, great. But if you got declined, SBA told us directly to go ahead and reapply, and there's a new check mark that you can check saying, if I'm declined, I'm still interested in getting a grant. So free money basically for $10,000 for my business. So I would recommend you guys do that. As far as in how the loan size is determined for the SBA disaster loan, that's going to be, as they said, up to $2 million. And it is going to be what we've heard internally, with our, webinars that we've done with SBA directly, is that they're going to be looking at, what your expenses are, and that's how they're going to determine your loan size for the SBA disaster loan.
Thank you for that. Do you have a sense of what costs are not eligible with the PPP?
Well, I have a sense of what is eligible, if that helps. So it's going to be, payroll for any employee up to 100,000. Any items to maintain your business, for example, like rent, for your lease space. We'll provide you guys, on our flyers that we're going to attach more specifics on that. But I have links and paperwork on the specifics. There's a lot of specifics, but it's really just like operating costs.
Yeah, that's what we found on our side when helping folks apply, that it pretty much was all expenses associated with business operations. So payroll, utilities, rent, commissions to a certain extent. So it's a pretty broad, comprehensive package as it relates to what you can claim. There are very few things that are ineligible. And so those, again, will be listed in the documentation that we'll provide at the end of the webinar. You'll find that most folks won't have issues there.
Right. Agreed.
Can you talk a little bit about how the forgiveness amount is calculated post the 8 weeks? So again, when you apply for the loan, PPP specifically, you're going to do that through your existing bank, and we'll have an application so you can pre-fill it out. Your individual bank may have its own documentation requirements. I've seen one bank locally require one other additional form that they needed. But what will happen is, after you're granted the grant, 8 weeks pass. You will then reach back out to your banker and say, I'd like to get this loan amount forgiven. At that point, they will ask you for some documentation to justify the amount. How might they calculate the amount that's available to be forgiven?
So it's going to be for, as far as in the CARES Act, I think in the PPP is a little bit more how it's distributed. So the CARES Act, as we stated, is going to be for up to 25%. So I think what people are expecting to see is like, oh, I get $100,000 loan amount and the whole thing is forgiven. Not necessarily. So there's going to be a portion that's forgiven. So for example, when we release it, once SBA releases it, any fees are going to be forgiven, and any monthly payments are going to be forgiven for up to 6 months. So that's kind of an idea of what it's going to look like and how it's going to be calculated. And then the PPP is a separate program that will be more just, up to 100,000 per employee, and then operating costs. So there is a huge anticipation of people applying. So apply as quickly as it is available. And then also they're thinking that maybe, 25% of that is going to be forgiven. So, it's kind of where we're at right now.
Yeah, and the PPP, from all intents and purposes, should be released Friday the 3rd for
Right.
general businesses, and then 4/10 for contractors. So again, whether you're self-employed, you're a one-person business owner, an LLC, a corporation under 500 employees, you're eligible to apply. So there are very few business entity classifications that aren't eligible. So you absolutely should apply for that.
Right.
That one as well. So the EIDL is available now, and the grant's available now. The PPP should be available Friday, and that's one that you'll have to apply directly with your bank. And good bankers should be on top of that, reaching out to you right now. There was a question on the side about if, I think it was Tammy, can you go to any bank? You can go to any bank that is an SBA approved lender. If it's not your current depository bank, best believe that bank's going to ask you to open up an account. You might as well do it.
Right. So what I'm hearing are there's certain banks that are going to participate and others are not. So try with your bank first if you have an existing loan with them. And then if you don't, then yeah, there's other people that will be offering it. I know we will be.
Yeah, we'll have a list. Again, the spreadsheet that we'll provide for you is updated almost daily as new legislation, rule changes, or banks add on. So I can tell you from a local perspective, the Comerica's, the B of A's, the Wells, the Chase, the Endeavor banks, Torrey Pines Bank, those are right now are going to be banks that will provide all of the loan products that we talked about. PPP, again, available Friday. Miriam, do you want to talk about eligibility? Businesses that are currently eligible.
Yeah, so for the SBA EIDL program, there is a credit minimum. So they're talking about removing the credit minimum. So
that would be helpful.
Yeah, they went from it being 680 to then lowering it to 640. So I think it's at 640 right now. They're considering removing that completely. So all types of for-profit and nonprofit businesses are eligible. Okay. So that's contractors too. So sole proprietors, all of that.
And you hit on that one there. The credit score requirement may continue to go down. Don't anticipate that it's going to go back up because the amount of applications that have come in so far, there have been a tremendous amount of what we would call in the business field decline. So you immediately see the credit score doesn't qualify, deal is declined. The result of that is reducing the availability of eligible companies. And so what we're seeing is that the credit score requirement continues to ratchet down. So be on the lookout for that, but also be mindful. Again, grant, not credit score, no credit score requirement, EIDL, credit score requirement.
Correct.
And they would pull that for you.
Correct.
So where can you apply for this awesome SBA loan?
So we're going to provide the link. So it is on SBA, general, there's a specific page where it's just hit here and apply. So we'll provide that link, but of course it is on the SBA website.
Right. And with the EIDL, you'll find that it's going to require the application, which is a 2-page application. It's really who, what, where, when, name, address, phone number, when you started your business, tax ID, information on the principals, and then a couple of government style check. You haven't been here, your business is under litigation, you haven't defaulted on an SBA loan, signature. You'll also be required to fill out a 4506, which is a 1-page document allowing the SBA to go pull your tax return should they need it. That generally happens in the lending business. That generally happens only in instances of default, but it does happen. You're going to need to fill out one for yourself and any business owner involved with 20% ownership or more, and one for the actual business. There will also be one other form, which is a debt schedule. You will fill those out online. They're online completable PDFs. You'll have to print them. I advise you to double check everything to make sure it's complete, sign it, scan it back in as a PDF, and then you simply can drag it and upload it. And there's an upload icon right there on the website. Upload it. Once it's done, it'll say upload complete. And usually 24, 48 hours, you'll get an email saying your application is in process.
I see a question from Tony. She says, are banks, including CDC Small Business Finance, giving priority to existing clients? Yes.
Absolutely.
You'll have to talk to your, lender directly. So I know we are giving priority to our existing clients. I know that, I talked to someone at Chase today. They're giving, they're doing the PPP only for their existing clients. So it's really important that you be connected with, your old banker or your old loan officer, your old representative. You can always come to us too for questions if they're not, providing it. But I imagine that all the larger banks and most community banks will be participating.
We're seeing the same thing on our side over here, Miriam, and they are, like you said, I had a discussion with some of the leadership at Torrey Pines Bank as an example, and they are only doing it for existing customers, but they're doing it and they're excited to do it. So what I would recommend you do is look at your current bank statement, call your local bank, your branch. Hey, can I speak to, if you don't have a direct lender or a relationship manager, can I speak to your SBA lender, please? I'm interested in this program, and they'll generally put you right through. If you have struggles with that, again, my direct contact information will be available. I can put you in touch with most folks in most banks, certainly in California. Mm-hmm. As it relates to speeding up, really quickly, go back to that. The things that you can do to speed it up, number one is make sure the information is complete. People who are processing these documents, they're going to get thousands of documents a day. They're under very significant tight timelines to get them done. And it's important that they get the money out to our citizens. It's what they're there to do. So the more times they have to pick up the file and call you back and email you to get documentation, the further along the line you're going to go and the less likely you are going to be to get approved. So the way to speed it up is to really go through your documentation to make sure it's complete and accurate. And again, we'll be available for questions. What I need you to be mindful of, and there's a lot of this going around, and this is one of the reasons we wanted to put on this webinar, is you're going to start to see a rash of folks emailing you, calling you, saying, give me $2,500 and I'll get you to the head of the line. Mm-hmm. That's just not going to happen. It's not real. Do not get involved in that. If you find that your business is more complicated because you've got partnerships and multiple LLCs and things of that nature, certainly, again, give one of us a call. We'll help you. We've got some experts on staff here who will help you go through the application process as well. But don't get scammed in the $2,500 to fill out your app. No one, maybe Rand, can you? But no one can get you to the front of the line.
No one can. Other than a complete application.
And so we spoke about this a little bit. When you fill out the EIDL loan application, there's going to be a box to check at the bottom left above the signature, and essentially says, if I'm declined, I would like the $10,000 grant. And it's going to ask you for your bank name, your bank's routing number, and which is your routing ABA, and the checking account number, the account number. You can find that right along the bottom of any of your checkbooks that you have. If not, you can call your bank. It's not going to be on your ATM card. You're actually going to have to get what they call a MICR line, the MICR line on the bottom of the check. You input that and away you go. Right. If you apply for the grant by itself outside of the EIDL, same information. And again, their commitment is 3 business days to have money deposited into your account. So I'm really excited for that one.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
So this one comes up quite a bit, Miriam. Can I get or apply for all 3?
Yeah, so it's a little bit. So you can apply for the SBA disaster loan and also apply for the grant and the PPP. So yes, you can do it. However, it's going to be carved out on the PPP loan what you use for payroll. And that's going to be carved out off of what you apply for the emergency economy, the SBA disaster loan. So yes, you can apply for both, but you can't double dip, if that makes sense. So you're not going to get, let's say your SBA disaster loan, and you said you needed, to pay your employees and keep your employees, and then, try to get the PPP loan and then also get, again, money for your employees. So you can qualify for both, but that portion will be carved out.
So as an example, if I got $100,000 from the EIDL loan, and then I got the $10,000 grant, when instead of getting the full $100,000 awarded to me, I would get 90, right? They would net out the 10 that I already was granted, and what would be available to me would be the 90. Is that correct?
Yeah, and if you need more than the 10,000, then you could get more, but they will carve out that portion. Does that make sense?
It does make sense. Again, our contact information is at the bottom, and what we're going to do now is we're going to go through our questions and see if we can get some of those answered to you. Miriam, do you have anything else?
No, I just, I'm happy to be a resource. At CDC, we're also doing COVID-19 relief emergency loans, which you guys will see that in the Excel spreadsheet that we provide with all the lenders that are helping regarding the coronavirus. So yeah, I mean, if I can help in any way, you can apply for our loans and the SBA and the PPP. So yeah.
So Miriam, thank you very much. We really appreciate it. Folks, again, I'm gonna call the EIDL the big loan. So there's the big loan product, there's the $10,000 grant, there's the PPP, and if you have an existing SBA loan, you can call and ask for a payment deferral or a payment waiver on loans that you currently have. All of the applications for this will be included once we shut down the webinar. You'll be able to reach back out to us. You'll get a spreadsheet with lender resources, not only in California, but nationwide, with information, rates, terms, direct contact information, and a link to the application. So you'll get that there as well. If you have any other questions, no question too small, no question too large, please feel free to reach out to myself, Brandon, or Miriam. And again, our contact information will be there. We really appreciate it. This is an unprecedented, crazy time. And to the extent that our friends here, friends there at the CDC, and my team here at CFO Hub can be of any service, we absolutely will do that for you. So be safe. Thank you for joining. And as my mom would say, wash your hands, boy. Have a great rest of the day, folks.
Bye, guys.